Okay, for problem number 15 on the Chapter 5 test review, we're asked to solve a matrix equation using an inverse matrix. So, as we typically do in solving these equations for x, we're trying to isolate x. It's just that x, in this case, represents a matrix. So my first move in trying to isolate x is to subtract this matrix on the left side of the equation from the matrix on the right side of the equation. Okay, so in doing that, my equation is going to look like this. Okay, so let's do the subtraction. So we're going to start with this matrix and subtract the left matrix from it. So just match up the elements. 3 minus 1 is 2. 8 minus 9 is -1. 6 minus 3 is 3. And -6 minus -8, be careful here, -6 minus -8 is +2. Okay, so now to undo multiplication, we're going to multiply by an inverse. So we have to remember how to find the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix. And once again, in case you forgot, I'll show you the formula for that, or the process. This is, in general, using variables, how we find the inverse. Okay, so make sure you know this well before you come in to take the test. Obviously, before I can find the inverse, I need to know the determinant of this 2 by 2. So here's how I find the determinant. I multiply across this way, 12 times 3. And then I multiply the other direction, 5 times 7. And I always subtract. When you're finding the determinant, you always subtract. Just think the d in determinant and relate it to the d in difference. Difference meaning subtraction. So 36 minus 35 is 1. Okay, so my determinant is 1. So it's like dividing 1 by 1. Okay, and now let's follow this little pattern regarding this 2 by 2 matrix. It looks like these two elements are switched. Okay, so I'm going to switch the 3 and the 12. Looks like these two elements have changed signs. They're both positive here, but in order to come up with the inverse, I'm going to make them negative. And then multiplying this matrix by 1 doesn't change anything in here, obviously. So this matrix represents my inverse. All right. So we said the way we solve this is by using an inverse matrix. We're going to multiply this inverse times the matrix on the right. I hope you understand that when you multiply a matrix by its inverse, it's just going to produce x on the left. So I'm not going to make you show multiplication on both sides. I just want you to show multiplication of this matrix, inverse matrix, times the right side. But this is very important when you multiply by an inverse, and I noticed on our last test some people forgot this. So keep this in mind. When you multiply by an inverse, the inverse must always be on the left. Okay, notice how my inverse is to the left of this other matrix that I'm multiplying. And that must always be true when you're solving by using an inverse matrix. So now it's just reviewing how to multiply two matrices together. And so let's walk through that. We're going to get a 2 by 2 answer, product matrix. Okay, so for row 1, column 1, which is that position, just think about using row 1 times column 1 and match up the corresponding elements. So you're going to do 3 times 2, which is 6, plus, now you're going to do -7 times 3, which is -21. And you add those together and you get -15. Okay, let's try another color. So how are we going to get row 1, column 2? Well, we will use row 1, and this time we'll multiply times column 2. Match them up. 3 times -1, which is -3, plus -7 times 2. It's -14. You add those together and you get -17. Okay, so for this element in the answer, row 2, column 1, we're going to use row 2 and we're going to multiply times column 1. So just match them up. -5 times 2, that's -10. Okay, plus, and now do the others, 12 times 3. Okay, notice how we matched up first times first within row times column, first times first plus second times second, and this is going to be -10 plus 36, and that's 26. Okay, and now we just have one more, and let's try another color here. This is row 2, column 2 of our answer, and so we're going to use row 2, those two elements, times column 2, and match them up. -5 times -1, that's +5, plus 12 times 2, it's 24. And you add those together, and you get 29. And so this matrix represents the answer, or X. We solve for X, which is a matrix, and here it is. And that's using an inverse matrix being multiplied on both sides. Okay, hope that helps, and let me know if you have any questions.